Almohadilla, my friend set me up on a joke that day. Then I met her and my whole life changed. Sometimes the universe has a strange way of delivering exactly what you need when you least expect it. Hey everyone, I'm Alex, and what I'm about to share with you changed everything for me. If you've ever felt like giving up on love or trusting your friends again, stick around until the end. Trust me, you'll want to hear how this all unfolds. And if this story resonates with you, please hit that like button and subscribe, because I think we all need reminders that life's most beautiful moments often begin with its cruelest jokes. I never thought I'd be the guy telling a love story on the internet. That was never supposed to be me. I was the perpetual third wheel, the friend with the sarcastic commentary about romance, the guy who'd given up on dating apps after too many conversations that fizzled into nothing. At 32, I'd convinced myself I was fine with it. I had my career as a graphic designer, my small but comfortable apartment, and friends who, despite what I'm about to tell you, I genuinely loved. It started on a regular Friday night. My core group, Ryan, Mia, and Jordan, had gathered at our usual spot, this dive bar with surprisingly good nachos and a bartender who knew us by name. We were two pitchers in when they started giving me that look. You know the one. The we've been talking about you behind your back look that friends get when they're about to meddle in your life. Alex, Ryan said, leaning forward with that grin that always meant trouble. We've found someone for you. I groaned, nearly choking on my beer. No. Absolutely not. The last time you tried to set me up, she spent the entire night talking about her ex. This is different, Mia insisted, her eyes sparkling with mischief. She's perfect for you. Perfect how? I asked, already knowing I'd regret engaging. They exchanged glances, and Jordan snickered. That should have been my first warning. She's creative, is smart, into all that artsy stuff you like, Ryan continued. And she's new in town, doesn't know many people yet. Then why does she need a pity date with me? He asked. It's not a pity date, Mia said, though her voice pitched higher the way it always did when she wasn't being entirely truthful. We just thought you two would hit it off. You should have known better. They say we're the same friends who once convinced me to wear a Hawaiian shirt to a funeral because it's what the deceased would have wanted. It wasn't. But after another round in their relentless persuasion, I reluctantly agreed to meet this mystery woman the following evening at Riverside Cafe, a quiet spot overlooking the water. What they didn't tell me, what I would discover later through a series of text messages I wasn't supposed to see, was that this was their idea of a joke. They'd met Eliza at an art gallery opening. She was beautiful, yes, but they'd decided she was way too intense and completely out of my league. The plan was to set us up, knowing it would be awkward and uncomfortable, then swoop in an hour later to rescue both of us from the terrible date. They'd even made bets on how quickly I'd text them for an emergency exit. I arrived at the cafe 15 minutes early because punctuality is my one redeeming quality when it comes to social interactions. I chose a table by the window, ordered a coffee to calm my nerves, and waited. Every time the door opened, my heart did this pathetic little jump. By 7:10 de la tarde, I was checking my phone, wondering if I'd been stood up. By 7:15, I was drafting a text to my so-called friends telling them their little matchmaking experiment had failed. Then the door opened again, and she walked in. Here's the thing about Eliza Chen, she doesn't just enter a room, she transforms it. She was wearing a simple blue dress with paint stains on the sleeves that she hadn't bothered to hide, her dark hair pulled back in a messy bun with a pencil stuck through it. She looked around, spotted me, and smiled, not the polite, obligatory smile of someone meeting a stranger, but a genuine one that reached her eyes and made the corners crinkle. You must be Alex, she said, sliding into the seat across from me. Sorry I'm late. He was finishing a piece and completely lost track of time. A piece? He asked, immediately regretting how unintelligent I sounded. I'm a sculptor, she explained. Primarily metal, but I've been experimenting with mixed media lately. She held up her hands, which I now noticed were calloused and had traces of what looked like copper dust under her nails. Hazard of the job. I don't know what I expected from this date, but it wasn't this. It wasn't someone who spoke with such passion about her work that I found myself leaning forward, completely captivated. It wasn't someone who asked about my designs with genuine interest, who laughed at my terrible jokes not out of politeness but because something in my awkward humor actually resonated with her. An hour passed, then two. My phone buzzed with texts from my friends, asking for updates, but I ignored them. We ordered dinner, then dessert. The cafe was closing by the time we finally left, walking along the riverside in the cool evening air, still talking. I have to confess something, Eliza said as we paused to watch the moonlight ripple on the water. Your friends told me this was a setup, but I got the impression they didn't think it would work out. My stomach dropped. They told you that? She nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. Not directly. But Mia kept emphasizing how you were different, and not everyone's type. It felt like she was preparing me for disappointment. The humiliation burned through me. Of course they had. Of course this beautiful, talented woman had been warned about me, probably told to be kind to the socially awkward friend they were foisting on her. I'm sorry they put you through this, I said stiffly. You didn't have to stay this long. Elisa looked at me, her expression softening. Alex, I stayed because I wanted to. Because contrary to whatever your friends might think, I find you fascinating. I must have looked skeptical because she laughed, not unkindly, and added, I'm serious. Do you think I spend 4 hours with every random setup? I have a studio full of unfinished work and a gallery showing in 3 weeks. My time is precious. Something about her directness, the way she held my gaze without flinching, made me believe her. We exchanged numbers, and I walked her to her car, feeling lighter than I had in years. When I got home, I had 17 missed texts from my friends, ranging from curious to concerned. I ignored them all and went to bed, replaying the evening in my mind, wondering if it had been as extraordinary as it felt or if I was just so starved for connection that any decent interaction seemed magical. The next morning, I woke to a text from Eliza, there's an exhibition at the Modern Art Museum today. The artist uses light and shadow in a way that reminds me of your design philosophy. Want to join? We met at the museum at noon. Distime, there was no awkwardness, no period of adjustment. We fell into conversation as if we'd been in the middle of one all along. She saw things in the artwork I missed, I noticed details she overlooked. We complimented each other, filling in each other's blind spots. Afterward, we found a small bistro for lunch, and I finally worked up the courage to ask the question that had been nagging at me. Why did you agree to meet me in the first place? If you could tell my friends were setting us up as some kind of joke? Elisa considered this, stirring her iced tea thoughtfully. Curiosity, maybe. Or perhaps I'm just contrary by nature. When someone tells me something won't work, I immediately want to prove them wrong. She smiled. Plus, Mia mentioned you were a graphic designer who specialized in minimalist designs with hidden complexity. That intrigued me. Hidden complexity? He repeated, amused. Is that what she calls my inability to simplify anything? It's what I call your attention to detail, Eliza corrected. I saw your portfolio online before our date. Your work has layers. I like layers. He felt my face warm at the compliment. No one had ever described my work, or me, quite like that before. We spent the entire day together, then the next. By the end of the week, we'd seen each other every day, sometimes just for coffee between her studio sessions and my client meetings, sometimes for hours that stretched late into the night. We talked about everything, our childhoods, hers in a small town in California, mine in suburban Chicago, our artistic influences, our failures and successes. She told me about the scholarship that changed her life, the mentor who believed in her when no one else did. I shared stories about my parents, divorce, my struggle to find my voice as a designer, the panic attacks I used to have before client presentations. There was an ease between us that I'd never experienced before. I didn't have to pretend to be more confident or interesting than I was. She saw me, really saw me, and for some reason I couldn't fathom, she liked what she saw. Meanwhile, my friends were growing increasingly confused by my radio silence. Either responded to their texts with vague reassurances that the date had gone fine, but I'd avoided their calls and declined invitations to hang out. Part of me was still hurt by their joke, but mostly, I was selfishly guarding this new connection, afraid that their skepticism might somehow taint it. It was Ryan who finally cornered me, showing up at my apartment unannounced with a six-pack of beer and determination written all over his face. All right, what's going on? He demanded as soon as I let him in. You've been MIA for 2 weeks. Did the date really go that badly? I took a beer but didn't open it, turning it in my hands instead. Why did you guys set me up with her? Ryan had the decency to look uncomfortable. What do you mean? I saw the texts, Ryan. You know it was supposed to be a joke. Edwin said. Look, it wasn't like that. We just thought. Man, she seemed so out of my league. He supplied. Different, he corrected, but his eyes gave him away. We didn't think you'd actually hit it off. But hey, if the date was terrible, why have you been avoiding us? We could have laughed about it together, moved on. He set the beer down and looked at my oldest friend, the guy who'd helped me through my parents' divorce, who'd been my roommate during those broke post-college years, who knew all my insecurities and flaws. The date wasn't terrible, I said quietly. It was perfect. Sis perfect. We've been seeing each other every day since. Rajan's jaw actually dropped. You're kidding. I'm not. But she's so. He trailed off, clearly searching for a word that wouldn't offend me. Beautiful? Talented? Intelligent? He suggested. Yeah, she is. And for some reason I still don't fully understand, she likes me. The real me, not some version I'm pretending to be. Rajan stared at me for a long moment, then broke into a slow grin. Well, damn. Good for you, man. Seriously. His surprise should have annoyed me, but there was genuine happiness in his voice. And honestly, I understood his shock. He could hardly believe it myself. So when do we get to meet her, he asked. Properly, I mean. Not as part of some failed prank. The thought made me nervous. My friends knew all my embarrassing stories, all my failures and quirks. What if they said something that changed how Eliza saw me? What if they made her realize she could do better? But I also knew I couldn't keep these parts of my life separate forever. And maybe, just maybe, seeing Eliza with my friends would help them understand what I saw in her, and what she somehow saw in me. I'll talk to her, I promised. Maybe dinner next weekend. Rajan nodded, satisfied, and we spent the rest of the evening catching up. I found myself talking about Eliza more than I intended, describing her latest sculpture, a series of interconnected metal rings that cast shadows forming different words depending on the angle of light, the way she hummed while she worked, how she could debate the merits of different artistic movements with the same passion she brought to arguing about the best taco fillings. You really like her, Ryan observed, his tone softer than usual. I do, I admitted. More than I've ever liked anyone. The dinner with my friends was set for the following Saturday at Mia's apartment. He was a nervous wreck all day, changing my shirt 3 times and rehearsing potential conversation topics in my head. Elisa, on the other hand, seemed completely at ease when I picked her up. They're your friends, she reminded me as we drove to Mia's. They already like you. And if they're important to you, I want to know them. Her confidence steadied me. By the time we arrived, I'd managed to calm down enough to function like a normal human being. The initial introductions were awkward, with my friends clearly reassessing Eliza in light of our continuing relationship. But Eliza navigated the situation with grace, complimenting Mia on her apartment decor, asking Jordan about his new job, and drawing Ryan into a conversation about a local band they both loved. As the evening progressed, I watched my friends warm to her. How could they not? She was charming without trying to be, intelligent without being condescending, funny in a dry, unexpected way that matched our group's sense of humor. During dinner, the conversation turned to how we met, and I tensed, waiting for someone to mention the joke aspect of our setup. We thought they'd have things in common, Mia said carefully, avoiding my eyes. But we didn't expect this. This. Elisa prompted, her eyebrow raised slightly. You two seem really good together, Jordan clarified. It's nice to see Alex so happy. He makes me happy too, Eliza said simply, reaching for my hand under the table. The casual certainty in her voice made my heart swell. Later, as we were helping clean up, Mia cornered me in the kitchen. I owe you an apology, she said quietly, handing me a plate to dry. What we did wasn't funny. It was mean. I focused on drying the plate, not trusting myself to speak immediately. We didn't think someone like her would be interested in someone like you, Mia continued, her voice small. And that was stupid and shallow of us. You're amazing, Alex. You always have been. We just got so used to teasing you that we forgot to see you. Her words hit me harder than I expected. For years, I'd been the butt of their jokes, the perpetual single friend, the one who couldn't quite get his life together. Evie accepted that role, even leaned into it sometimes. But Eliza had seen something else in me from the beginning. She sees me, I said, not really meaning to speak aloud. Mia smiled, a little sadly. Yeah, she does. We should have been seeing you too. The evening ended with genuine hugs and promises to get together again soon. As Eliza and I drove back to her place, I felt a weight lifting that I hadn't even realized I'd been carrying. Your friends are nice, Eliza said as we pulled up to her apartment building. They love you a lot. They were on their best behavior tonight, I replied. Usually they're much more annoying. She laughed. That's what friends are for. To annoy you and love you anyway. She paused, then added more seriously, they feel bad about how they set us up. Did they say something to you? He asked, surprised. Not directly. But I could tell. Especially Mia. She turned to face me fully. For what it's worth, I'm glad they did it, even if their reasons weren't great. He might never have met you otherwise. He looked at her, this extraordinary woman who had somehow walked into my ordinary life and transformed it, and felt a surge of gratitude so intense it almost hurt. I'm glad too, I said softly. That night, as we sat on her balcony drinking tea and watching the city lights, Eliza told me about her upcoming gallery showing. I'm nervous, she admitted, which surprised me because she always seemed so confident. This collection is different from my previous work. More personal. How so? He asked. She hesitated. It's about vulnerability. About the parts of ourselves we hide because we think they make us unlovable. She looked at me, her eyes reflecting the city lights. Being with you has made me think about that a lot. How we present ourselves versus who we really are. He understood exactly what she meant. With her, I didn't feel the need to be funnier or smarter or more interesting than I was. He could just be. Will you come to the opening? She asked. It's okay if you're